Oh, hi. Oh, hello.
I didn't see you there.
No, I didn't see you
Not
there.
at
We were
all.
just, we were just,
We were just sitting on this couch
yeah, just chatting
casually,
casually,
as one does.
informally, as one does of a Sunday.
As one does. I like that, of a Sunday.
Yeah, that's old-fashioned speak.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you making that up?
No.
I'm just kidding. Of course you're not making it up. But I like that you think I would think that. Yeah.
First, hello, and to be explicit, hello. I'm Leonard Maltin. This is my daughter, Jessie Maltin. Jessie Maltin Hadfield.
Nah.
No.
That's real life.
And this is anything but real life.
Yeah, exactly. No. That's
Hello,
real
folks.
life. Hello.
If by any chance you were with us 2 weeks ago.
Let everybody join in.
Well, okay.
You're so excited. You gotta let everybody
Yeah,
join in
all right.
first.
I gotta chill.
You gotta wait. Gotta chill. Oh man, I do love when you use those words. It does bring me joy. It does bring me immense amounts of joy.
Why? That's not the way I speak on a everyday basis.
You are hip with the kids, is what you are. When I think of you, the first thing I think is, boy, this guy sure is hip with the kids.
Oh no.
That's the one.
Oh no.
It's all right. No. It's all gonna be okay. The pain will subside. It's all going to be all right. And we're up and running, which always makes me happy.
Well, that is an achievement in itself.
Someone did ask me what I do when I'm looking down at the beginning, and it's literally I'm making sure that we're working on all the various platforms. If you don't know, we go on to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So those are the 4 different places you can join us. And if you miss an episode and you want to catch up with it, they live forever on the YouTube.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah. On the YouTubes. And our YouTubes is Maltin on Movies. So we are quite easy to find. Yes, all is well. Yes, I'm not wearing makeup, and I will tell you why. I have this thing called a baby. And let me tell you, I have not slept in days. No, I do apologize if at any point I fall over. It's just the lack of sleep.
It's sheer exhaustion.
My gorgeous girl is teething, and as I said to my husband yesterday, she woke up and chose violence. She did. She woke up and she chose violence, and she said, "All right."
This is the most cheerful.
She is cheerful,
smiley,
yeah,
enchanting,
very,
half-year-old.
Yep.
You'll ever find.
She's 6 months old, which I really can't believe.
But she is teething now. Yeah. And this has affected her personality.
Yeah. No, her personality is
the same. It's affected her.
The yelling.
Yeah.
The yelling is new.
Screeching, not yelling,
and,
screeching.
Victoria says this is where grandparents are indispensable. Yeah, I try not to shove her upon them when she's doing these things because that's not their job, it's mine. But every now and then, when I do feel like I'm going to go kerplop, then I go and I beg for help. No, my parents are amazing with her. I say it every week, but it's true. They adore her, and she adores them. And it's the only reason I'm able to get anything done because my husband does work full time. So my mom, when we record episodes of our podcast, things like that, my mom watches Daisy. And I don't know how we would be able to do anything if one of you wasn't able to help.
Mm-hmm.
Even little things like showering. I miss showering on a regular basis. I think those around me miss me showering on a regular basis. But, this is it. Yes, teething is rough and tiring. It is. It is very much that. So, well, we're here. I mean, I don't know where I am, but we're somewhere. And and now.
When we were last together.
Yes.
2 weekends ago.
2 weekends ago.
At the almost very end of our hour-plus time together, one of the devices we use to transmit this is my iPhone.
And we said goodbye to you because suddenly Warren Beatty was calling.
Yeah, and you know how the ID, the identification of the caller comes up? Well, right there, I'm looking at you right now, Mr. iPhone. And all of a sudden, there's the name Warren Beatty flashing.
Not weird in the slightest. No, as I say, thank you very much, Rosalind. I appreciate it. uh, the first time that he called the house, this is not like a normal all the time, but it's happened enough times now that it's less of a shock, but somehow still as much of a shock, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. The first time he called the house, I was home. My parents were out, and I answered. And I said, hello. And he said, hi, this is Warren Beatty. And what you want to say in response is like Warren Beatty, or some guy named Warren Beatty? Like, just out of curiosity, like Beatty, or just like some guy named Beatty? And I didn't say that. And then we talked for almost an hour. I don't remember about what. He talked, and I just kept going, uh-huh. And then hung up, and he says, just let my dad know that, he wants to speak to him. Sure. I then called my parents, and I said, so was that like Warren Beatty, or some guy named Warren Beatty? And my mom goes, oh, that was Warren Beatty. And thus began the adventure that you have had with him.
Which is a separate story.
Yeah.
Which we'll tell another time.
The quickest being, go to YouTube and type in Leonard Maltin, Dick Tracy. And my dad some years ago got to interview Warren as Dick Tracy. My dad wasn't Dick Tracy. Warren as Dick Tracy with Leonard as Leonard. And it was a truly wild experience. And it is something that he wants to do again, which is why he has been calling again, because he would like to do that. I'll see again. Someone pays attention. Leonard, sit up straight.
Okay.
Ha ha. Now I'm not the only one. Ha
Okay.
ha.
Okay.
But yeah, so so now Warren Beatty calls. Again, like no.
And
no.
And the end of the other story we'll get to in good time is that he presented me with my Robert Osborne Award at the TCM Classic Film Festival last weekend.
Yes.
And which was a very generous thing of him to do. And
he was very funny. The first thing he said is that this is the second time in a year he's been out of the house. And he thinks that one should get out of the house at least twice a year, which I appreciate. Yes, Ken says to hold on to the Tracy copyright. Yes, that is the whole thing.
That's right.
Also, though, he does just love it. Like, he loves it. And that's the thing. It's not like, oh, I have to do this Dick Tracy thing. He really enjoys it.
The day before we shot
that
piece, some 12 to 15 years ago.
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know when. I'll look it up.
Well, you know how I know things. The color of my hair. The way I know things, and this sounds hilarious and ridiculous, but it's true, is the color of my hair. And my hair was black when you interviewed him. I know that from the photo that I have. So I'm going to say that it's 12 or 13 years.
Okay.
Is my guesstimate.
That sounds right.
Based upon hair is my guesstimate.
That sounds right.
Yes.
Anyway, what was the point I was going to make?
You're going to make a point about, you were starting to talk about the day you shot.
Oh, the day before.
Yeah.
He came to our house to run lines with me. And he said, when you see me tomorrow, just be ready. He says, the yellow overcoat really makes a statement.
And it did.
And when he showed up in the Dick Tracy hat.
And that really cool car.
Oh, yeah.
He had this great car that he drove up in, that they filmed him driving up in. Yeah. The highlight for me, I got to watch him put on self-tanner. That was a personal highlight because as the Dick Tracy character, he takes it all very seriously. And so he wanted to make sure that he looks the part. So I was watching him put this self-tanner on his hands, and I was just like, this is not real life. Okay. But yeah, so from that, you guys have had a bit of a relationship. And I've mentioned before, I went to school with his kids. He and Annette Bennings, their kids went to the same school I did. They're younger than me, but I knew a few. There are 4 of them, and I knew 2. God bless them both. They're good parents, and they're very normal parents at school.
And Annette paid you a lovely compliment.
Oh God, that was insane.
After you were in, was it Fiddler?
Was it Fiddler? It was Fiddler, yeah. It was Fiddler on the Roof, which also goes into another, someone asked if there's any good movies right now. There is a documentary about the making of the original Fiddler on the Roof film that my parents just watched and loved. And
it's terrific.
Just put up a review of that on leonardmaltin.com.
It's playing right now in New York at the Angelica Film Center, and will open next Friday here in LA at the Laemmle Royal on Santa Monica Boulevard. And I don't know where it will go after that.
I included the link to the website.
Okay.
So
good.
in the review. So
I'm sure ultimately in the course of time it will be available for
DVD.
streaming and other things. But
yeah,
it's not just another making of video. We see so many of those now on all sorts of movies, movies that are worthy of that treatment, some that are not. But in this case, it's really out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And
very
so moving.
My experience with Annette Bening was that she saw me. I was Fru Sarah in Fiddler on the Roof, and
you were on the roof.
I was actually. No, was it Fiddler or was it? It might have been Les Mis. I think it was Les Mis. We did Les Mis, and I was Madame Thénardier. It was, and she came up to me the next day at school, and she went, "Jessie, hi, it's Annette." And again, you're like, I know you're Annette. I'm fully aware that you're Annette. And she goes, "I just wanted to tell you, you were fantastic. You did such a fantastic job." And right after she said that, they called my name. My mom was pulling up. I got in the car and I cried because Annette Bening said I was good. And that was very exciting for me.
Yep. It's a big compliment.
It was our school, again, growing up here is weird. It just is. It's weird. You see things and you see people, and there's so many stories, so many of them absolutely ridiculous. And it's true, because I mean, the thing is this: people are people. When you have kids, they got to go to school. And one of the things my mom always loves to talk about is Annette Bening was a room parent. Like she was very active at school, very active. And when she was there, she was always in her uniform. Her own uniform was overalls and a baseball cap. And that is what she looked like most of the time you saw her, unless she was, getting an Academy Award. It was, there's so many though, so many ridiculous. David Hasselhoff's kids went to my school, and he had this routine when he'd pick them up, which he'd pull up in this great old convertible, and he would get out of the car, kind of go like this, like just to make sure everyone saw that he was there. And then he would call the girls over and put their stuff in the car and drive away. And it was like, you almost wanted to say, "Do you think there's a camera here somewhere?" Because there isn't. But it was just,
who was that mess?
It was very funny to watch him do that.
He didn't even stop and tell us his name.
It was very funny. Willem, forget what it is, Billy Idol's son went to our school. So imagine you see Billy Idol in line for pickup. They say very not the And now, sorry, do you remember one of the number one selling items at the school fair?
No.
Vanna White's blankets.
Oh, right.
Vanna White's kids went to my school, and she would hand make these blankets.
Whatever.
And they would be one of the things you could buy at school for the school fair to support. Again, of course.
And we spent a little time talking about that with George Stevens Jr. the other day.
Yes.
This is his new book called My Place in the Sun: Life in the Golden Age of Hollywood and Washington. And it's officially, its pub date isn't for like till May 22nd.
They keep pushing it, and I don't know why.
I see you can buy it now online.
Yeah.
So I hope we're not premature.
Well, no, hey, it's a good thing to keep it on. Pick it back up again. So My Place in the Sun by George Stevens Jr. We just recorded our episode with him, so that will be up in a few days. Look, if you don't know his work, then you know his father's work, obviously.
And he got to be on the set and work on location for Shane in the Grand Tetons and Giant in Marfa, Texas. And
he's got stories.
Diary of Anne Frank. And but his stories are not unlike yours.
Oh yeah.
He went to school. He went to Rio Vista Kindergarten.
Did you? I didn't know that. You didn't. Oh, that's so funny. That's down the road from our old house.
He grew up in Toluca Lake, where we spent.
Where I grew up.
Where Jesse grew up.
Yeah.
And he he played with Richard Arlen's son, and
It's again,
went to high school with Robert Wagner.
Yeah.
And it is just like any other place, except it's not.
Yeah. Well, again, I always joke that the biggest difference, honestly, is that when you think you see someone, you have. So as opposed to being like that guy in the aisle, he really looked like Justin Timberlake. It was Justin Timberlake. And P.S. I have friends who we've nicknamed various grocery stores and like 7-Elevens. There's a 7-Eleven that Jake Gyllenhaal used to go to. So I had friends who would just dutifully sit by that 7-Eleven and pray. There was one that there's one of the Ralphs that Justin Timberlake used to go to. So I had friends who would call that Justin Timberlake Ralphs. Yeah, it's a very funny thing. And so TCM just happened. Margaret says she had fun seeing George Stevens Jr. at the festival.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's what I kept saying to him as we interviewed him was to have someone who is still a first person in a story. So it's not, I read that Cary Grant blank. It's Cary Grant was one of my best friends, and continuing on from there. And you go, that's right, because Cary Grant was real.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of ways, those people, those icons and legends, they don't feel real. Not in a negative way, but just in that.
Especially to you, because
yes.
there's a bigger gap.
Yeah.
Between your age and their heyday.
Yeah. You've got a few years on me, but still, it's it's still surreal. I won't give anything away because he told us some great stories, but I will say he spoke about he was friendly with JFK.
Well, not friendly with.
Yes, he said that.
Oh,
he
Bobby.
Said, yeah, no.
He was very close to.
It was close to Bobby, but he talked about spending time, and that's why he got that telegram and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
He was friendly. I'm not saying they were BFFs. He was friendly with him. They had a friendly relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And again, to hear someone speaking about JFK in the first person, and him talking about what it was like to see him in real life and all of that, not many people can say that anymore. That they saw JFK up close and personal.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I'm grateful that we get to speak to a lot of those folks. Yeah, Steven says the stories humanize the actors. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even things like who was Lucille Ball's neighbor? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Where she would invite them over to look at the flowers.
Oh no, that's a story Leslie Brickus tells.
Yeah.
And his memoir about when he and his wife Evie lived in Truesdale Estates, and he would ride down not Doheny, but
the other one, Rodeo, which
no,
whatever it is,
Bedford Drive, I think.
They don't know. Just go
Roxbury.
ahead.
Roxbury.
Sure.
Roxbury.
These are all streets that exist. Go on.
And he would pay. It was well known at that time that Jimmy Stewart lived next door to Lucille Ball, lived down the street from Harpo,
Yeah, and this is all in Beverly Hills, so it makes sense that they would be.
So every day as he drove to 20th Century Fox, he'd drive south on Roxbury Drive in Beverly Hills. And he wrote Lucille Ball a note saying how it brightened his morning every day, his commute to work, to pass her house, which has such a lovely
beautiful flowers,
floral arrangements in front, the landscaping and all that. And she wrote him back and said, well, come on over for lunch on Saturday. You can see the backyard too. By the way, that book has not been published in the US, but I think you can get it from Amazon UK or used copies. And it's a really good book full of great Hollywood and show business stories. That's Leslie Brickus, who was Anthony Newley's writing partner. They
spell Brickus in case someone
knows. Bricusse.
Brickus.
The lyricist of Dr. Dolittle and Stop the World, I Want to Get Off, and The Roar of the Grease Paint, The Smell of the Crowd. You know what song of his gets a lot of play now? It's on a big commercial. Feeling Good. I think Nina Simone's recording in particular.
So interesting. But yeah, and that's the thing. There are so many great...
and Willy Wonka.
Yeah. There are so many great biographies, autobiographies, and those memoirs are priceless. And this is also why when someone has said, "Oh, I wasn't sure," we are the first to encourage and say, "Write your book, share your stories," because each piece is a part of the puzzle that makes up these actors, directors,
Right.
producers, writers, who are legends. And there's something so incredibly cool about learning, uh, little things like Lucy loved her flowers and took great pride in them.
Yeah.
It's small, but it's also sort of just a wonderful
And it,
bit.
it also sort of harkens back to the fact, now no one refers to the early 70s as a golden era of anything, but that's
They do the
when,
film, don't they?
well, no, early 70s
Yeah.
is was a they call it now the silver age of
I
Hollywood.
know. That's
Yeah,
why I'm saying the
right,
70s were known.
right. But the point that Griffiths makes in his book is that it was a smaller community.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
It
Yes.
felt more like a town where you knew everybody seemed to know
Everybody knew
everybody,
everybody.
and
And it's funny because sometimes, much of the time, it does still feel like that here. Because playing the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game, somehow everyone knows everyone. And the way I first started experiencing it firsthand was Facebook. As funny as it sounds, but you'd meet someone for the first time and you send a friend request on Facebook and see that you had 20 people in common and go, how do you, I grew up with this person. How do you know this and this and this and this? And it's a small
do you have any
world.
recollection of mommy picking you up at school one day, stopping what was then Moorpark Drugs
Hmm.
on
And
Moorpark?
yeah, meeting Billy Barty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
of course I do.
Alice saying, "Oh, hello, Mr. Barty."
Yeah. For a little kid, this is the thing, a little person to a little kid is fascinating, because it's a grown up that's your size. And so whenever I've been able to meet, a handful of those famous folks, you do remember it because they say as a kid, it's like, what do you mean there are grown-ups who look like me? What are you talking about? And he was also lovely. He was a very, very, very nice man.
I also, when I was first, I may have still been commuting here because it was the early days of Entertainment Tonight when we were at Merv Griffin's studio on Vine Street. And there was a coffee shop just up the block that's no longer functioning called the Early World Coffee Shop, something like that. And one of the regulars there was Billy Curtis, star of Terror of Tiny Town, the first all midget Western. That's a quote. I'm not using an outmoded term. I'm woke.
You sure are.
That's how it was. Anyway, Billy Curtis was also in Superman and the Mole Man. He's in everything. And I didn't see him at first. And I came to a sudden stop at the stop sign corner.
Mhm.
And I apologized, through the window. Oh, it's okay. Billy Curtis.
So funny.
Anyway.
One of my mom's favorite stories is with Russell Brand, which is he nearly hit her at the Sony parking lot and hit the brakes and then rolled down the window and said, "Sorry, madam." And it's just one of her favorite moments. Francis is asking, what's your favorite documentary about movies? Depends.
Well, number one, Kevin Brownlow and David Gill's 13-part series, Hollywood, on the silent era. And I'm told that it is now in its entirety on YouTube, which is the only way you're going to get to see it, unfortunately.
Because red tape has stopped it.
Because they didn't anticipate home video when they made that,
Yeah.
and didn't clear, future rights. So, and
So
I know
frustrating.
somebody who has tried to untangle
Yeah.
that mess, and they can't. That's number one. Number two is Kevin Brownlow and David Gill's Unknown Chaplain. Oh, 3 parts, 3-hour-long segments. Breathtaking. And that is on DVD, or was when I last checked.
It's also a lot of fun, though. There are a number of documentaries about specific movies that are fascinating, including the one, it's the number one about the shower scene in Psycho.
Oh, yeah.
70 something.
72, let's get it right.
Yeah. Hang on.
It's by Alexander Philippe.
Yes, who is a very good documentarian
Hmm.
and has just started a new one on William Shatner, which I think is going to be very cool. 1 second. 7852.
78/52.
And it's all about, I mean, and that's another one. Imagine someone says to you, I've made a documentary about one scene, but it's one of the most famous scenes in film history.
Yep.
So
It's awfully good.
and there are so many stories that come with it.
Yep.
You know, that's the other part. And then he did another one that you liked. It was the Alien. Was
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
The Alien one is not as, I don't have the same connection to that. But he did a really good.
One of his early docs was The People versus George Lucas, which is a lot of fun. It's a really, really good one. Oh yeah, he did Leap of Faith, William Friedkin on The Exorcist.
Yes,
a lot of
which is
people like that one.
Fascinating. And he has a one that's playing the festival circuit about Monument Valley.
Yeah.
Called The Taking, which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah. There's so much. There's so many documentaries and yeah, man, it's hard to narrow it down. What are some of your favorite film documentaries about film? We've also brought up before, but it's the Frozen in Time.
Oh yeah.
That's another great documentary,
Mhm.
really interesting. Gosh, yeah, there's so much. I always say that it's true. Documentaries are my favorite. That is, I watch all of them. Anything I can find, I will watch. And there's a lot of good ones. There are a lot of good ones, and in some cases,
And the one that we're plugging right now it's called Fiddler's Journey to the Big Screen.
yeah. And as I say, you can go to leonardmaltin.com. His review is there, and that's an interesting one.
Mhm.
Greetings, Maltins from Brantford, Ontario's film enthusiast Paul Westbrook.
Okay,
That is
Paul.
one hell of a lead up to your name. I appreciate it. Question: what was your take regarding the film Memory with Liam Neeson?
I haven't seen it.
He doesn't have a memory. Ta-da! Doesn't have that one. Let's see. Victoria says, I never get tired of MGM's That's Entertainment 1 through 3. They're
Well,
great. They're
yeah.
great. And easy to find, thank goodness. That's one that
Yeah.
is easy to locate. Gosh, as I say, it's hard to even, I'm trying to think
Oh,
about them. There are
sure.
just so
Sure.
many. There's so many.
The Epic That Never Was, about the
Lost in La Mancha?
Oh, Lost in La Mancha. That's
Lost
great.
in La Mancha is one of the best and most insane documentaries ever.
About Terry Gilliam's first attempt to film Don Quixote.
Yeah.
And he gave these two guys who went on to make other good films.
Yeah.
Free access.
Yeah.
To the set, to the location, production offices, and as he said when he introduced the film,
it was supposed to be the making of this movie.
Instead, it was
the undoing of this movie.
Yeah, eyewitness to disaster.
Yeah, and there are a lot of those documentaries that are really cool too.
Yeah. The
Queen of Versailles.
Yeah.
Queen of Versailles, where you think you're filming one thing and all of a sudden it all goes kablooey and heads the other direction.
The Epic That Never Was, which is the story of the making of a film that never got completed, I, Claudius, with Charles Laughton and Merle Oberon. That goes back to the early 70s, I think.
There's so many. Again, there's just so many. There's so many good ones. A bunch of you were mentioning interesting one, Burden of Dreams. I
saw Burden of Dreams at Telluride, made by Les Blank, the late Les Blank.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in it where Werner Herzog, having stumbled into a situation in Peru where there are warring tribes attacking each other while they're trying to make this movie. And he says something like, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
I begin to think that perhaps it's not wise to be here. And the audience are going, get out! Get out!
What are you doing? No.
But it's a great film.
Okay, Victoria mentions Hollywood, my hometown. No, it's just, there's so many. Jonathan has two questions. The first one he asked earlier was, have we seen the documentary Gilbert about Gilbert Gottfried, who just passed away. Yes, we mentioned it before because that's really how we got to know him.
Mhm.
That documentary is how we met him, met his wife, and learned about him. And he's such a lovely man. It's a great doc, and I really recommend it. Just Gilbert. Another wonderful documentary that was shown at TCM with the amazing Floyd Norman as Floyd Norman, An Animated Life.
Yep.
And that's great. He just asked Jonathan. Hello, Logan. Jonathan just asked if you've ever interviewed Buddy Ebsen.
No, sorry to say I have
If
not.
only.
I have not. I did not have that opportunity.
Margaret says, I like the old making of mini docs you can see on DVD commentary tracks. Clute comes to mind, and The Sandpiper. Yeah, well, see, this is also interesting that that DVDs and Blu-rays now sort of, they have to include extras. People have become accustomed to them including extras.
And that began with Laserdiscs.
Yeah.
Laserdiscs as a medium were a failure. They never really penetrated the mass marketplace the way DVDs did.
Come here.
But you know who loved Laserdisc? Oh dear. Filmmakers, directors.
Okay.
And one of the reasons they fell in love with the Laserdisc is that they could do a commentary track, which you couldn't do on VHS. So a lot of them.
Hi, thanks. Hi, thanks. Mabel, no, Mabel wants. Come here, Mabel. It's okay.
You can come up to Mabel.
We've got not one but both dogs today. White fluffy head. If you don't know, this is Mabel. Brown head over here. This is Logan. Hello, babies. Fun family fact. Today is 1 year since we got Logan.
All right.
1 year since we got this tiny troublemaker. Hi, Mabel. Yes, hi, Mabel. And Mabel's 1 year just passed.
Okay.
Anyway, this is our pile of dogs. What do you guys like to watch? Well, I'll tell you. Doe. Sorry. We live in a circus.
We do live in a
circus, don't we?
A somewhat
We
chaotic.
live in a circus. Hi,
But-
guys. Eric says he still collects Laserdiscs. We still have some of them. Hang on. Evanier's here. Let me guess, Mr. Evanier. He says, what would you consider the best movie to ever feature Percy Helton? And did he play a train conductor in it? Listen, Evanier. Evanier is one of my
Mark Evanier.
Mark Evanier is one of my mother's lovers. They've been together for years.
Man about town.
That's true. And if you are at any of the Comic-Cons, he's the one putting on the real good stuff. The stuff that is a part of Comic-Con for real, which is to say not Twilight based, but actually wonderful animators
and comic artists.
And if you ever go to, whether it's WonderCon or Comic-Con, any of those sorts of events, make sure you go to whatever it is that Evanier is doing.
Author of the indispensable book, Jack Kirby, King of Comics, among other things.
Rachel says audio commentaries for movies are one of my favorite things humans have invented. It's true, but that's what's funny about it is that the ones that are like 10 years out, those are so interesting. Unfortunately, because again, people now expect there to be extra stuff on DVDs and Blu-ray. You have people talking, who made the movie a year ago. It's not touchscreen.
Okay,
that's not a touchscreen.
Right. They're what I call.
What do you want to look at?
What Larry Smith just said.
Okay. Larry Smith says, I love the documentary Hollywood, the Golden Years, the RKO stories, or RKO story where Hermes Pan, Astaire, and Rogers explain how the magic was constructed in their films.
It's very good.
How can you go wrong?
And typically a British-made documentary.
Yeah.
For years, they're the ones coming over here and
making all the good ones.
Or staying home and making all the good ones.
Yeah.
There was a great series that your mom reminded me of, Hollywood and the Stars, 1964. It lasted 2 seasons in prime time on NBC. And it was the David Wolper production, and a lot of them were actually executed by Jack Haley Jr., who I got to know and I got to work with in later years. And a lot of other talented people worked on them. They had access to mainly the Warner Brothers, the old Warner Brothers library, which is now part of Turner, part of TCM. and Warner Brothers Discovery Media.
Whatever the
place.
hell they're called now.
Anyway,
Bill, was there something you wanted us to repeat? Was there a movie that you didn't hear us say, or that we spoke too fast? I am happy to repeat something. Thoughts on Craig is asking about thoughts on The Northman and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
funny you should bring
and
those
The
up.
Bubble and Kimmy. I started The Bubble but haven't finished it. We did just interview Karen Gillan. If you enjoy her, she's so interesting and really, really lovely. That's one of the new episodes we did. As for the other films you mentioned, I have not been to an actual theater in a while because, again, baby. But he saw both.
Now, Robert
Northman-
Eggers came to my class. I was very happy to have him as a guest. That was a good get, as they say. And we screened The Northman before it opened. I guess the night before, no, a week before it opened, Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just read an excellent profile of him in the New Yorker. And if you're interested in him, you should try to find that. It's a very thorough and candid piece about him. The Northman is his compromise version of a Viking, an authentic Viking story. Compromise in the sense that he made it very much bearing in mind at every waking moment that it had to appeal to a wide audience, a broad audience. This was his compromise version. Anyway,
he was not a fan of the film.
I just found it tedious. Blood, revenge, more blood, more revenge, more blood, more revenge.
And as for Everything Everywhere,
I liked it at the start. I was taken with it for quite a while, and then I thought it became self-indulgent and repetitious. And so while I enjoyed the ingenuity,
yeah,
it wore out its welcome for me.
Noah's a big fan of those filmmakers, and he asked me if we liked Swiss Army Man.
Oh yeah, very much.
And I said, yeah, we did very much. And so he said he felt like it was sort of in a similar vein. And you know, it's going to work for some people, not going to work for others.
Didn't know when to end. It's about 15 endings on Everything.
I didn't see it. I did just get to watch the new Spider-Man here at home. And husband got bored and went to sleep. Which normally these are his movies. He found it really dull. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I really liked actually when the three Spider-Men were together. Their relationship in the film, I think, is the best part of it. And I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that very, very much. We Crashed just ended. If you watched that on Apple, what a wild, crazy thing that was to watch. Good, but also nuts. And I just started the new Andrew Garfield series that's on FX and Hulu. I forget the Banners of our something. It's about Mormons and this massive crime that's going on, and it's a lot. It's not what we call an upper, but it's good, but it's not an upper.
Episode 1 of We Own This City.
Yeah,
which is the new David Simon, George Pelecanos film series set in where else? Baltimore.
Yep.
Which shows that things haven't gotten better since the days of The Wire.
No. Yes, thank you, Lynn. Under the Banner of Heaven. Yeah, that's the new one. Mommy was asking me about it. She said, what about, am I enjoying it? I said, it's one of those things I don't think you enjoy. Yeah. Like, it's good, but it's not like, oh, that was fun. Eric says, Marvel films have gotten intolerable for me. Well, see, the thing for me is that I have no horse in the race. I don't care. So if I like them, I like them. And if I don't, I don't. And I think that helps. My husband, on the other hand, loves those characters, loves comic books, loves graphic novels. And so he is more particular than I am. Speaking of which, Neil Adams just died, and that was a very big deal in that world. Yeah. Techie says, Spider-Man was epic, and Jared on We Crash crushed it. Both of them, both Jared Leto and Anne Hathaway, were really, really good. And if you don't believe the characters they're playing look up interviews. They are that ridiculous in real life. Looking up some questions. Alan says an unsure G movie for me is Sam Peckinpah's film The Ballad of Cable Hogue, one of his more funnier and sensitive films.
One of his perhaps his gentlest movie. I like it. I'm fond of it because he didn't sacrifice portraying colorful characters.
Yeah.
By leaving out the violence and the extreme qualities that characterize most of his other work. I think it's a really good movie.
Jonathan's asking if you ever watch any Nickelodeon movies like Rugrats or SpongeBob. You did when I was little.
Yeah.
When I watched them, he watched them.
Yeah,
but not really
I haven't
since.
I really haven't since.
Nothing against them.
No.
It's just.
No, I've gotten choosier.
Yeah.
If I don't have to see it, if there's no specific purpose.
Yeah. We're now watching stuff on TV because of Daisy. So we're now starting to see some of the kids shows.
And that will develop.
Yeah. We're seeing some of the kids shows we'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And that's always interesting. I have to say, Bluey, I stand by this, is such a good show. It's this Australian. Go ahead.
I just saw an episode of Gravity Falls. The guys who just did.
Help me help you.
No, the Oscar winner.
Our guys or someone else?
No. Gordon Miller.
Yeah.
Their protege, Mike Rianda.
Okay.
Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
The guys, the Mitchells versus the Machines.
There you go. You got there though.
Long way around.
You got there.
Long way to get
you
there.
You did it though. And I like Mitchells versus the Machines. I don't love it, but I like it very much.
I like it a lot.
But yes, we use closed captioning anyway. But yes, with the baby, it's very, very helpful because otherwise, when she goes, "What?" you say, "What did they say? What was that?" Jerry's asking, "Are you a fan of Woody Woodpecker?" Who's not a fan of Woody?
I grew up with Woody Woodpecker. I grew up with Walter Lantz hosting the weekly Woody Woodpecker
And did
show.
you ever meet Walter Lantz?
Yes. And I got his autograph in my copy of Woody Woodpecker's Easy Way to Draw.
Yeah.
And I still can't draw.
It's true.
There is a page in the book that I actually started to color in to show me how to draw Chilly Willy and how to draw Buzz Buzzard. Hopeless.
But you can draw.
Sort of.
I've watched you draw.
Sort of.
My whole life. You're not terrible. Not by a long shot.
Yeah, but couldn't quite.
Bill says, I know it's TV, but look, we watch a lot of TV. My mom and I watch a ton of TV. My dad, not so much. But since the pandemic, but also just if my mom and I love something, sometimes we'll then make him watch it because we think he'll like it. Because he's bringing up Gaslit and First Lady. I watched the first episode of Gaslit, which I really like. First Lady, I can't get into, but I'm going to keep trying.
I watched Gaslit. I watched episode 1 of Gaslit, which is yet another of these miniseries. I can't call them limited series.
It's stupid. No.
Anyway, which is one of these miniseries among many that covers recent enough history that it's my lifetime.
Yeah.
And so I remember John and Margaret Mitchell. I remember Martha Mitchell. Sorry, John Dean and all the. I remember the testimony at the Watergate hearings. It's stirring up these memories.
Yeah.
Some of them unhappily, some of them amazingly.
Well, it's like 2 years ago with the court again.
Oh yeah, the Chicago.
Trial of the Chicago 7. Now I did not live through that. So I was just enjoying it from the standpoint of learning about it and so many good performances and such good writing. But I watched it with my parents who both remembered all of it. And that, so there's two really different experiences happening with the same show, the same film. you know? Oh yeah, yes. Yeah. Lee says we have to recommend Heartstopper on Netflix. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good one. Yeah. And Charlie's been telling me about that too, Lee. I know she likes it a lot. What I can't find is there's a British cooking show that she talked about that I guess is really popular right now. And I can't find that. I have to look up what it was that she wrote because I can't remember.
Someone just recommended the new British version of Call My Agent, called 10%.
Yeah.
Which we tried to find last night without success.
Yeah. There's so many, gosh, there's so much out there. That's the thing. And there's a lot of stuff we discover. My husband loves anything sci-fi, uh, again, comic book, stuff like that. And so that tends to be
Slow Horse is another one. We're going to try that.
I started it. It is slow. It is slow. But I started it because obviously it's so many good people. Super Pumped is that I couldn't get into Super Pumped. Part of it, it is hard sometimes when you do learn things about actors and then you have trouble watching them. And that is, there's someone in that show that I have an issue with. And so it's hard for me to watch the show. But I just couldn't get into it. I really wanted to. Vincent says he loved 1883, the prequel to Yellowstone. I think Mommy's watching that.
She's watching that and enjoying it very much.
My mom was a devotee, of Yellowstone. So we watched the first episode of Moon Knight, but we haven't watched any more. My husband was away for work for 2.5 weeks, so we're catching up on everything.
Variety just did a story about Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
Who created Yellowstone and now 1883. He is now actively involved in 9 current television and forthcoming television shows. And he's a hands-on guy. He's not one to delegate.
Yeah.
Or when he's forced to, he does. But
he wants to be a part of it.
He wants to write it all if he can. He can't. He knows that. But he's going to try.
Is that Oscar Levant next to Popeye on your shelf?
Why, yes.
Why, yes. Yes, it is.
That's a cardboard standee for the...
I just realized you asked about Woody Woodpecker. He's right behind us. Woody's right here. This is the Oscar Levant thing. Ta-da. And I still say he looks a bit like Jack Webb in this photo, even though you disagree with me. I think he does. Don't fall, Oscar.
I've been reading an advanced copy of Keith Scott's book about cartoon voices. And
Keith knows.
And Keith knows whereof he writes. And very interesting because Mel Blanc did the original voice for Woody Woodpecker before he signed before he signed an exclusive deal with Leon Schlesinger to do work only for those cartoons. But up to then, he worked everywhere. And when he had to back away, they still used for the opening of the cartoon, they still use that ha 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 ha. And then yes. I think Cal Howard, one of the story men, they sped up his voice, and he is very distinctive. Woody, oh boy! I mean, it's a very you can hear that it's a different voice.
When did the song happen, and was it in connection to the cartoon?
Yeah, late 40s. Well, that was always the theme song. And somebody wrote lyrics, and they did it's a piece of unattractive sheet music.
Well, that's one of my favorite songs. Thank you for joining us, Bill. Take care. I'm a big fan of that song, and I wasn't sure where it necessarily came from. I don't know if you can find it, but you can try.
And then ultimately, Walter's wife, Gracie, did the voice.
There's so much stuff. Please show us your Robert Osborne Award. It's real heavy, and it's in the kitchen, not permanently, but that's where it is right now. But I will get it for next week so we can show you. It's real heavy.
Pass me the biscuit eater, the dog.
Again?
The pointer, yeah. Because when we showed this 2 weeks ago, as a result of showing this and talking about the film, 1940 film, The Biscuit Eater, which is almost impossible to find, my old friend Frank Thompson wrote to me and said that in the late 80s, he went on tour with Billy Lee, the child actor who starred in the film, and Bill Everson, who had the only readily available 16 millimeter print of this wonderful movie. And they went around Georgia. They played it in, it was shot on location in Georgia. It was the first sound movie made in Georgia in 1940. And he has clippings from the late 80s when they did that. And how great to know that. I didn't know. I can't believe I never knew they did that. He's pretty sure that when Disney remade the film in the early 70s, that they bought the rights to the negative to the 1940 Paramount picture and preserved the original. Scott McQueen, when he was still doing preservation for Disney. So now that gives me another goal.
Yeah.
Maybe for next year's TCM Classic Film Festival.
Yeah, right? Sean says, I was lucky enough to be at the Legion when Leonard got his Osborne Award. So deserving. Thank you. I'm glad you were there.
Oh, what a wonderful night.
It really was.
What a wonderful night.
It was a wonderful night and a lot of fun. And so you may have seen, we posted about this, but my daughter, it was her first time sitting in a movie theater. My thought process was this, okay? We knew that Warren was going to speak for a little bit. My dad was going to speak for a little bit. And there was going to be...
Ben was going to choose for him.
Ben Mankiewicz started it off. And then there was going to be a little clip package at the end. So I figured she can probably sit for 10 to 15 minutes. And I also figured that because everyone knew who she was in that situation, if she did make noise, it would be endearing, if that makes sense. Like, it'll be, oh, that's Leonard's granddaughter. It's cute. And she's leaving. So it's fine. This kid focused. First, she listened to Ben attentively. Then she listened to Warren attentively. Then she watched the clip package and then watched you. And I mean, didn't move, didn't make a sound, eyes glued. So many people.
If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it.
I wouldn't believe it.
And what's so funny was there were friends of ours on sort of the sides, and they could see it happening. And it was just, I kept looking at everybody going, we're all seeing this, right? We're all seeing what this child is doing, just to be clear. And oh yes, Sean says, did the baby write a review afterwards? I'll be honest with you, her penmanship is not great, but she made some sounds that made it at least appear that she did enjoy herself. Yes, it's in the genes. That's what we all keep saying. Like, clearly this kid is ready for movies, but God, it was funny. It really, really was.
And the tribute reel they did for me.
They did a beautiful job.
So far beyond anything I could have expected.
Though again, I'm the only one they stole from. Jacob, who put it together, he spoke to Mary Hart, he spoke to Justin Chang, he spoke to Alexander Payne, a number of folks that my Louis Black, who's one of his oldest and best friends. And so it was great to hear their voices. Then suddenly I heard my voice and saw my face. He took it from different podcasts and from some of our videos. And I was laughing. I said, could have asked. You could have asked. I would have said yes. Instead, I'm finding myself here. It's very funny. Sorry, let me just get to a few more of your questions.
And then a little more show and tell.
Yes. Frank says, why was Leonard Maltin one of the best parts of the Turner Classic Movie Film Festival, which was already pretty great? That's a very kind question. It's so much fun. That's the truth. It's so much fun. Can you see the tribute reel? I don't know.
Everyone asks me that, and I don't think so. They're
gonna post the ceremony.
But TCM now has a YouTube channel.
Oh, do they?
So if it would be anywhere, I would think that's where it would wind up.
Yeah, the Gremlins should have made an appearance. Yeah, that would have been funny. Yeah, I don't know. Some people have posted bits and pieces, but yeah, we've been asking, but I don't think so. I don't think they're going to make it public. But to be honest, it really is it's sentimental more than anything else. And yeah, it was just very kind of people to say what they said, and we appreciated it. Quinn says, seems like the great movie stars of old didn't transition into TV until later in life, actors like Henry Fonda and Jimmy Stewart. Now with streaming platforms, A-list actors mix TV into their acting careers.
Yep.
Has the stigma of moving to TV disappeared for movie actors?
Yeah,
yes.
Obviously. When Meryl Streep
Yep.
And people
Yeah.
of that caliber, seamlessly,
Yeah.
transition back and forth. Mark Ruffalo. I mean, there's
Oh, yeah.
so many actors we could name.
We talk about it. We actually talk about it a lot on our podcast with different guests that we have
Mhm.
because it is such a significant shift.
It was a stigma. I
Yeah.
mean, there was no
You
question.
failed. You went down to television.
Yep.
You know?
You had to resort to doing a TV show.
Yeah. It was a terrible thing, and you had to go on to that. It's a real shame. And now more people prefer it. You
Well,
know?
they get to do quality work.
But that's it. That you get money, you get it goes everywhere, which is part of it too. You have to remember someone may spend a year of their lives working
Yeah.
on a movie. Now that's not the behind the scenes folks. They can spend many more years than that.
Right.
But the actors can spend God knows how long, and then people may or may not ever see the film.
Just this year, Nicole Kidman was an Oscar nominee.
Yeah.
And also was in approximately 47
Give or take.
TV projects.
At least 47 shows. But yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip. It is so completely different, and I'm glad. I'm glad because it means. I mean, there too. Look at these directors. Look at the directors and writers
Mhm.
working on these shows. That never would have happened.
People who were in the forefront of the indie film world 10 to 20 years ago, well, 5 to 20 years ago,
Yeah.
are now primarily working in long form television
Yeah.
and high end television projects.
Yeah, exactly. Victoria says someone once said because you get to go home at night. I think still one of the best stories that Bruce, I keep blanking, Ash vs. Evil Dead, the one who broke my mouth.
Bruce Campbell.
Thank you. He accidentally hit me in the face. It was funny.
You had to be there.
You had to be there. It was funny. There was blood. It was great. But he was talking about how when you shoot in New Zealand, they are so incredibly thoughtful when it comes to your time. And he said, you can have a reservation for dinner every single night and make it. And he said, because people know they're going to get out, they work really hard. They show up and they work because they know that if they do that, at 6 o'clock on the dot, they can go home.
Mhm.
And there too, for a lot of actors and actresses who have families now, and again, writers and directors,
Mhm.
it's the same thing. There's some stability there. You can move your family to wherever it is. You can, do stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it gives you some time to actually be a person.
Right.
Ken has brought up The Duke, which you posted the review for, or I posted the review you wrote, which is finally coming out.
It's in theaters
Yep.
now, and Sony Classics has a deal with a couple of the theaters that are playing it. If you go, if you're an adult, if you're over 18, and you bring a friend, I think the friend gets in at half price or for free. There's some sort of incentive
Sure.
to go to see it in a theater while it's playing
Yeah.
in theaters. I would just go because it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Jenny, it was a headline item when Betty Davis did a guest shot on a wagon train. TV Guide did a special feature piece about it. And it was a one shot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a one-time thing. It was notable then and unusual then.
But very cool. All right, your show and tell here. What have you
Okay,
got?
odds and ends, smalls today.
Smalls.
What was once a buckle for a little boy's cowboy belt has the insignia of Tom Mix, the great Western star, Tom Mix.
I know.
I'm showing it very poorly.
It's okay. Yeah. Oh, it's so good too. You can see the TM. Yeah.
And Tom Mix, who died in a car accident in 1940, lived on in pop culture because he was the hero of a radio show.
Tom Mix, Ralston straight shooter.
That's right. That was the
That's
sponsor of the radio show. Mirrors, pocket mirrors are.
A thing you have.
Betty Grable says, "I love my Motorola radio," and we say, "We love you, Betty Grable."
Very nice. Does it affect your experience of watching a movie when you learn about an actor or director doing something reprehensible? This always, right? It's hard. It depends, I think. I know it sounds silly, but it depends on what's been done. And I think it depends on the timing of things. We were actually just talking about this because of the Bill Murray thing. And if you've read this, Bill Murray, a movie he's working on was shut down temporarily because something happened with him. And today, for the first time, he's speaking out about it. And essentially, what he said is he made a joke that his co star did not appreciate or find funny. And he realizes it now that they were just
Not in sync.
yeah. And, you know, the thing is this, I think that it's really tricky because it is true when it comes to humor or anything else, you have to know somebody. And, like I'm very hard to offend. It takes a lot to offend me. But of course, people where it can be anything, drop of a hat. So he realizes that he has to be more careful. And that's sort of what he said is he's learned and he needs to be more aware. Which I'm hoping it is just that it was a joke that didn't land. Because it does not yet sound like something more untoward than that. But of course it's difficult, of course it's difficult. As I say, I think it kind of depends. It depends on what it is and how much it affects you.
This is this a compact?
Let me see. It looks like it. Yep. Oh, it opens. Oh, is it a? Okay, I think this is for. Yeah, it is. It's for face powder. It's stuck. It's got a little. For those of you who wear makeup, it's got a little sifter thing at the top that it's supposed to work differently.
Anyway, that's the great Mabel Normand.
Yeah. So the back of this says, Wildwood face powder at all first-class drugstores, made in the laboratories of the Alexander Drug Company, Oklahoma City.
Well, show the front.
Yeah, I will. But this is the back. This is the back here. And then here she is on the front.
Mabel Normand. Great silent film comedian and briefly a director.
Yeah.
She even directed Charlie Chaplin in one of their Max Sennett shorts in 1914.
Mm.
So that gives her a little extra niche.
You get a boost.
Yeah.
Yes, same, Rachel. I'm the same. Are you collecting many titles in 4K? Not so much collecting.
No, see, I'm kind of spoiled in that I, as a member of the media, I write up a lot of home video releases.
He's like totally an influencer, guys.
I get sent a lot of stuff.
Yeah, movies.
And without asking, they send a lot of stuff.
Sometimes we wish they would ask him, and we'd say no.
Yeah. So I don't collect so much as sift and sort.
Yeah.
And I keep saying I don't collect, I accumulate.
Well, it's tough too, because how many of something do you keep?
Right.
If this one has this documentary on it and this one has this commentary, well, how many copies of whatever do you need?
Disney, the golden edition, the platinum edition, the anniversary.
It's going back into the vault. We don't know where the vault is, but it's going there.
Remember that Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
Vault? Yeah, pretty funny. Mark Evanier said years ago that they create new media just to get him to buy Goldfinger again.
It's true. It's all true. Are they screening? Oh, are there still screenings right now? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've started up more so lately. Again, there are some film critics who are just not comfortable being in a movie theater right now, and I respect that. It is strange, I think, to be in crowds. Are they screening copies or clean copies? It depends. The screening ones are what we get during award season, but then he always gets the actual nice, this is what you can buy copy.
But I'll get a link now. More often now, I'll get a screening link.
Yeah, and then
which has my name burned into the picture area.
Yeah, it's I don't.
Not
It's no,
not the
no.
best way to digest a film.
Yeah, most overestimated movie. How can you narrow that down? Over all of the no, not all of them. I'm just kidding, but no, a lot. It's again. This is so. If you are someone who wants to see everything everywhere all at once, well, when people are telling you now, they're going, "Oh, this is the best movie I've ever seen." This never helpful, and I've never found it to be good for someone to overhype. Because even when you write a review, you don't, unless you really reacted, unless you if something like, oh my god, knocked my socks off, the most incredible thing I've ever seen, you don't really want to write a review that is too, I don't know, enthusiastic, just because you don't want someone to walk in and go, he said it's the best thing ever and it wasn't. It's hard for something to hold up to that.
Here's a sleeper. These are the kind of films that I love discovering on my own, stumbling onto, as it were. And it's now just out on Blu-ray from Cohen Media Group. It's called Oranges and Sunshine, and it's an Australian film, but it stars Emily Watson and Hugo Weaving in a role that I'll never forget, and David Wenham, another leading Australian actor. Oranges and Sunshine. I don't want to tell you too much what it's about, but it's based on a chapter in Australian history that they're not proud of, that they've had to come to reckon with, where they rounded up orphans in the UK.
Not
and
ideal.
Sent them down to Australia. But it's a very moving and beautifully done movie.
They're being very enthusiastic about the new Top Gun. Yeah. My husband's really excited about it, so I hope it's good. He loves the movie Top Gun, and he's really been looking forward to this sequel. So I really, really, really hope that.
Oh dear! Oh dear me!
Well then, sorry. Let me just get one. Hang on. Mauricio just posted. 1 second. Oh, there we go. No, now it's too much, too far. Go back. What are we doing?
Turn back.
There we go. Mauricio says, we are screening the Max Fleischer cartoons tonight at the Yard Theater in Los Angeles. We'll be showing the new restorations we've been working on with Max's granddaughter, Jane. This is our friend Mauricio, who makes most of the shirts that you are obsessed with that my dad wears. And his website is Rockin' Pins. They do T-shirts and pins and all kinds of stuff.
Rockin', not rocking with the G at the end. No. Rockin' Pins.
Rockin' Pins. And that's very cool. I know he works his butt off, by the way, you guys. He's going to be the one that saves us all. So yeah, Neuroleptic. So yes, the way that Twitter is its own and Instagram is its own, but Facebook and YouTube both use something called Restream. And so they are in the same way. So in real life, I am sitting on, if your camera's facing me, I'm here on the right, my dad's on the left. So stage right, stage left. And then it does flip us on different cameras. Because why not? Sorry, is there anything else? The dogs are also excited about Top Gun. They must be, right? Anyway, yeah, we've come to the end of our hour, my friends. Thank you as always for joining us. And we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Again, you can always send questions. I try to check all the social media, but again, with the baby, it is definitely harder for me to keep up. But my dad is posting. We always have stuff up on his website, different movies that are going on. And again, you can also sign up to our on onlinemaltin.com. You can sign up for our email blast, because that also will tell you what the new episodes of our podcast are. And we've just interviewed a whole bunch of really interesting people, and I'm excited for the episodes to come out. So there you go. Everybody, be safe, and we'll see you next week.
And be kind.
Mm-hmm.